Hey, this is Don from Parallel Technologies again with another video. Today I'm going to talk about Cisco HyperShield and smart switches. Now, this is a fairly new technology. Not that many people even know about it. This is going to somewhat revolutionize the data center networks because we are moving from firewalling at a specific device to firewalling on one device. We are treating firewall as a function and not a piece of hardware. So let's get to the board because somebody asked me about this. So hopefully I can clear this up with this whiteboard. So we have Cisco HyperShield. And what basically this is firewall, like I said, firewalling as a function and not as a piece of hardware. Now, I did a video about service insertion for firewalls with NDC, and I did it with NDFC, and I did it manually as well. I'll put one of the videos up here. You can watch that and then come back to this, and it'll make more, hopefully it makes a little bit more sense. So what these smart switches are they're data center switches. Now, right now, they have one version and they're coming out with top of rack switches. I don't know what the model number is, but I know they're coming out with Tor switches. And let's just put some ports here. And I'm going to put, let's just say things are connected to it. These are hosts. Now, in the top of rack switch, in these new smart switches, they have this NPU. This is the NPU, or Silicon One. And they also have these things called DPUs. I'll put these DPUs off to the side. Now, the significance of these DPUs is this is where the firewall function is going to be. Now, some of them have two, some of them have four. I believe the top of rack switches will have two, and then the other switches that are just out now, I think they have four. But the firewall function will exist on the DPUs. Okay. Now, I'm going to get this out right now. Your switch will need to be able to talk to HyperShield, which is in Cisco Security Cloud. So this is going to need exposure to the internet. Your switch needs exposure to the internet so it can talk to HyperShield. Okay. Now, are you going to manage this stuff in NDFC or ACI? Absolutely not. They're going to be two. This is cloud based. So this is where the policy enforcement is. So policy, and this is all in the cloud. All right, this is cloud based. All right, SCC basically, Cisco Security Cloud is where you're going to get HyperShield here. So, and then for management of the switches, you're going to do ACI or NDFC. So that's still what you're going to need to do to manage the life cycle of the switch and the fabric and all. So what would happen is, from a policy perspective, you're going to do all your policies in HyperShield and push it down to the switch. All right, so you're going to have firewalling at the port level because of these DPUs. So how traffic would flow in this example, let's say this switch or this host wanted to talk to this host, and you had some type of policy. So first of all, you're going to do, there is some CLI command to this that you're going to turn on the firewall function, or it's called service acceleration. And then you're going to specify whether you want to do it at the VRF level, VLAN level, etc. But let's just say we're doing this at the VRF or VLAN level. Let's just say that's already done. What happens from a data plane standpoint is traffic goes to the port. That traffic goes to the NPU, and the NPU, since you have firewall service acceleration, knows that it needs to do a service insertion and send it to the DPU to do the firewalling, where the policy from HyperShield got pushed down to. So it will go to one of these DPUs. All right. Now, during that DPU, it will look at the policy from HyperShield and does its evaluation or whatever. And then once, if it's allowed, it will send that traffic from the DPU back to the NPU, and then the NPU will do a lookup and then send it out to the egress port. That's basically what the Cisco HyperShield and the smart switches are for. Now, they do have an agent that can go on the actual endpoint itself or the host itself, and you can do firewalling there. using like I think it's eBPF they're going to be using this on, but it's at the kernel level, so you can actually do enforcement at that point. But this is strictly about smart switches because that was the question that was asked to me. So that's basically what this is all about. You're doing firewalling in the same box without sending it to a different box, and you can do it at the port level without sending it to another box and all that good stuff. So you kind of save money on extra equipment. The other cool thing about this HyperShield technology is shadow data plane, right? So what shadow data plane is, and I'm gonna throw this in as an extra here. Let's say shadow data plane. So what shadow data plane is let's say you have your real data plane that traffic is going to. So this is the real one, real data plane. Let's say this traffic is on. So this is traffic. All right. So what you can do is I'll use green, you can clone the real data plane. So this is a shadow data plane. And you can test out policy on the shadow data plane. All right, you can evaluate policy on the shadow data plane to see if anything will happen when you apply this policy to the real data plane. So what does this prevent? It prevents you bringing down a network or bringing down communication because you applied policy to the real data plane and it broke something. So most people, before this technology came out, the only way you would know your policy is going to break something is if you actually put it in real time, right? With the shadow data plane, you can clone the data plane, apply your policy, evaluate your policy, make sure it's okay. And then once it's okay, you can actually push it to the real data plane. So this is going to be a push to the real data plane because it's already been evaluated. You made sure everything was okay. And now you can push it down to the real data plane, thus minimizing the chances of bringing something down because you already pre-evaluated the policy with the shadow data plane before you put it in the real data plane. So that is HyperShield and smart switches in a nutshell. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope this is an overview, right? Because this is very new. So it's more involved in what I'm just showing you. But since you just asked me about the smart switches and HyperShield, I just gave you that small little piece of an overview so you can kind of get your feet wet into this whole thing. And this is really at the data center level right now. This is not at the this is not on campus switches. This is all data center. Again, they're splitting out the management. So NDFC or ACI is to control the life cycle of the fabric, and then HyperShield is to control the security policy enforcement at the port level that communicates with the firewalling on the DPU. This is Don from Power Technologies. If you like videos like this, don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, especially this one because this is fairly new. And, I see this revolutionizing data centers in the future when they get the gear out there and you can actually get it in a good amount of time. Because right now it's like a 3 to 6 months time frame to even get a switch out there. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, thank you and have a nice day.